Hey there, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be walking you through what a gravity-fed fuel delivery looks like. As you can see right now, I'm just going over and popping open all of my lids. And on this specific delivery, I had regular 87 gasoline, which is the white lid, and I also had a pocket of off-road diesel, which is the yellow and red lid, which is marked yellow for diesel and red for being dyed diesel, which is the off-road. So to go ahead and get things started, I got all those lids popped and I stuck those two tanks, and I'm going to take those two numbers, and right now I'm just over in the truck because I write down my numbers and I chart the tanks to make sure that there's going to be enough room for the product before we begin any of the offloading. Now that that's done, I'm going in and lining everything up to deliver my off-road diesel first. I always like to do my diesel deliveries first because diesel does not evaporate, so if you deliver that last, you have to cap off your hoses, whereas if you do diesel first and then switch it over to a gasoline afterwards, you can skip that step because gasoline all evaporates and you don't have to take as much care in storing the hoses. So I went ahead and got my hose hooked up to that tank, and I got the pocket with that diesel opened up and flowing, and then I just go ahead and pop open that vapor just to give some pressure release, and I did have a bit of liquid in that vapor line that ran out. That's why you see me dabbing that up with one of our absorbent pads. So while that diesel's running, I'm going to go ahead over and hook up my vapor recovery line for my regular gasoline so that when the time comes to switch over to that, that step's already done, just to try and optimize my time a little bit there. So that system simply collects all the vapor out of the gasoline tank as I'm putting the gasoline into it, and it pushes that vapor back into the now empty space in my trailer as I'm delivering. And then once I get to the loading rack, the end of the delivery, they have a vapor recovery system that takes that vapor out of my trailer as I'm putting more product into it. And that's how we keep the vapor from getting out into the atmosphere. So right now I'm just waiting for that off-road diesel to finish running out. I only brought 1,000 gallons for this delivery, and that should take about 3 minutes usually. I do have this sped up a little bit, as I'm sure you can tell, just to try and not make this an extremely long video that way. But for right now, we just keep an eye on everything, make sure that nothing drips, nothing has any issues, and always stay right with the delivery. Oh, and we are empty, so I'm not sure if you can see it very well in that. So you can watch the fuel running down the hose a little bit. I just walk this out 2 or 3 times usually, and then once I've got it good and emptied, I shut the valve on the trailer, and then I release the fitting at the tank and move it over to the regular tank. Now I'm going to go ahead and shut that vapor that I pinned open, and I'm going to change my manifold over to the tanks that have my regular gasoline in them. Once we've got that all situated, I always take a double check, look, follow my hose line, make sure that everything is properly lined up to drop the correct product into the correct tank, and then we go ahead and start that offload. Now that that fuel's running, I'm going to go ahead and stick that off-road diesel tank. Just again, saving myself a little bit of time, getting that number recorded, getting that tank closed up while we're waiting for this regular. So I'm going to go ahead and write that number down from that stick reading, and then I will just be sitting here watching this regular unload. I brought 9,700 gallons, I believe, that day. So it take about 20-25 minutes to offload, and it's just me doing exactly what you see now, back and forth. So I went ahead and skipped ahead to when this was just about empty so that you don't have to sit there and watch me do my pacing back and forth for 25 minutes. But once we get close to the point, you should be able to see a little bit of fluctuation in the hose, and from where I'm standing, I'll be able to see in my sight glass when the trailer completely empties, because I'll be able to see the air and the last of the fuel run out. And once we get to that point, you can see we're getting close because you can see the movement in the hose. That little bit of movement in the hose is from air. It's actually kind of nifty to see it sped up like that because it's more evident that way. But now we're empty, so I'm going to go ahead and walk this hose out a few times. Get all the fuel out as best I can. Once we've done that a few times, I'll unhook from the truck and go ahead and walk that out one last time to get anything that's left in the hose out. This rolling technique has been one that I use the most, probably. It works quite well for emptying the hose. Once we get that done, I unhook it from that side and put the fitting away, and then I go ahead and unhook the vapor, and that was me closing the internal valves from my pockets as well. Put that fitting away, close the vapor. Then we're going to go ahead and put the cap on the loading head, and we're going to rearrange my manifold so that everything is properly closed the way that it should be. And we're going to mark all of my tanks as vapor now because they are no longer full of fuel. They now contain only vapor. Go ahead and put my hoses away, and that's pretty much going to wrap it up. Put those hoses away, stick that last tank, and record that for my paperwork. So that's a real kind of crash course on just how I do these deliveries. These are our most common deliveries. I usually do these probably 90% of the time. Then we have some pump offs and other things like that. But that's gonna wrap up this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please remember to like and subscribe, and leave me a comment below on what questions you might have. Alright, bye for now.